Enough of those. Thanks again for tuning into yet another video. Infamous coming at you live from the West Coast yet again, San Jose, California. So we're just talking about something that I came across during the Harley-Davidson demo event. I spoke to a few subscribers that we met there. Alvin had an Indian that he was considering trading in for a Road King. It was actually a Springfield. Then we had another fella that had a Challenger, and he was test riding, of course, the Rogue Light and the Street Glide, and we spoke about that as well. And maybe this is just something that you guys are probably considering. I'm thinking about trading in, and it's always like, you know, the same thing. When I go to the Indian demo events, you have Harley riders looking at what Indian has to offer. So, in my opinion, I said my 2 cents, and you know, it really depends on the person, but the way that I see it is, depending on what model you have, these bikes are pretty much the same, all right, when it comes down to a lot of the specs and a lot of the features. So Alvin was someone who rides a Springfield, which is basically a Road King, and he was there wondering about the Road King. I forgot the other gentleman's name. He had, like I said, he had a Challenger, and he was looking at from what I saw, he test rode the Street Glide. So it really just comes down to, what do you want out of your bike? That's, you know, my main question. All right, so here's a lineup on Harley-Davidson, of course. A lot of great bikes. You have the touring models. You have your Softails, your cruisers. I mean, there's just a lot of these bikes are really pretty much comparable to the Indians. All right. I would say, you know, if you're looking to modify your bike, if you're looking to unlock performance, if you're looking at, you know, anything of that kind, I would say the Harley-Davidson is probably the way to go. All right. If you're someone that just wants to ride your cruiser, and you want that classic sound, and you want that classic feel, and you have zero interest in modifying your bike, I mean, you have, like, I don't know, it's really tough, because even, you know, brand new bike, you like it, it could grow old, and then you're pretty much, hey, maybe what if I do a stage 2 or stage 3, or what if I do this or I do that? You know, modifying on the Indian lineup is very limited. All right, you are very limited. Well, let's say, I mean, it's not as easy, all right? Harley has a lot of plug-and-play, bolt-on parts, aftermarket support. They have a ton, all right? Pretty much, whatever Softail model or whatever a touring model you have, whatever, I can almost guarantee you will find a manufacturer that supplies a specific part for your bike. On the Indian side, it's a little bit more difficult, all right? You could probably find, yes, the aftermarket support has improved over the last few years, but, I mean, to find parts specifically for Indian and your model, depending on what you have, because some of these touring models, they don't make aftermarket parts, like the same extent as they do with the Harley lineup. So, I mean, that's pretty much what I mentioned to these fellow riders. Right, if you're looking to modify, or if you're looking at the aftermarket and you want to, you know, tweak, maybe add a fairing or do something different, Harley-Davidson is where it's at. All right, it is what it is. Okay, they sell more bikes, which means more manufacturers will be supplying aftermarket parts, and the R&D for these parts it's you know, it's more appealing because there's more of them out there. I believe they sold like over 100,000 bikes last year, or in 2022, I can't remember. They sold over 100,000 bikes, right? I think in total, as far as the Scouts, from what I remember, probably a year or two ago, I think as far as a Scout lineup, I think they've only sold like 7 or 10,000 units. Sorry, guys, 7 or 10,000 units of the Scouts. I don't remember, because I remember seeing a recall where they recalled all the Scouts, and I believe it was only like 7 or 10,000 units. I'm like, I was just kind of taken back, and I was just kind of like, wow, that's all they've sold of the Scouts. They just sold about 7,000 to 10,000 bikes in the last, I think, 4 years or 5 years or something like that. And like Harley-Davidson sells 100,000 every year. That's the reason why you have the aftermarket support. Now, like I mentioned, to the fellow writers, Indian, like I said, they have a lot of technology. They have a lot of little features that Harley doesn't have on their lineup. But I mean, they're pretty much, like I said, identical. Unfortunately, for you to do some of these performance mods, and like I mentioned in previous videos, you would have to do some massive work on these bikes for you to do a stage 3, stage 4, 131, 135 with with these bikes. You could buy the kits, 131s, a lot of potential. Yeah, I mean, there's people pushing 160, 170 torque, 160 horsepower, 170 torque on the right tune with just a stage 3. It's very impressive. But like I said, I mean, they're both great options. Both great options. The Challenger, like I said, this Challenger from factory stock, 120 horsepower, inverted forks, the whole suspension, everything, the technology, of course, it's there. But with what Harley did recently with their touring models, I like what they did. I don't think it's up to par with the Indian, when it's, of course, the standard, kind of like the Road Glide. It doesn't have inverted forks. There's a few things missing, but I think what Harley did in 2024 still makes it appealing because of the main reason is the aftermarket support. That's what it comes down to for me, because I like to modify my bikes. Now, if you're someone that doesn't have the space or doesn't have the time to modify the bike, or you have zero interest in taking it apart and adding stuff to it, then I would say the Challenger is exactly where you probably want to look at. All right. The Power Plus powertrain is fantastic. The way it rides, it's agile. It feels light. Like I said, you have the improved suspension on this as well. But the 2024s, man, I really enjoyed. I really liked riding these bikes at this last demo event. So I don't know. That's just my 2 cents. You guys can share your thoughts down below. Harley versus Indian. I think for the most part, before the 2024s, I think Indian had a very good offering on features, price points, price tags, just features and stuff like that. Also the technology, but with Harley-Davidson 2024 with the RDRS standard, a lot of the rider safety enhancement standard, the 12-inch display standard, the new fairings and all this other stuff. Of course, the redesigned fuel tanks and the redesigned saddlebags, the LED lighting all the way around. Finally, it's very impressive. It's competitive. It's good for, of course, the consumer, because these manufacturers are competing against one another. Of course, Challenger has been whooping Harley for the last, I think, 3 to 4 years. You see the videos how the Challenger outperforms the Road Glide and the Street Glide. But like I mentioned in the videos, the 117 has a ton of potential. Stage 2, Stage 3, and then of course you still have the 121, 124, 128, 131, 135. You have all of those kits. Yes, it's going to cost you more than the Challenger, but it's just you're pretty much unlimited on what you could do with the Harley-Davidson lineup. It's aftermarket, on top of that, and all the tunes. You have Fuel Moto making tunes. You have Power Vision making tunes for the bikes. It's just, the aftermarket and the mods on the Harley-Davidson is a selling point. So anyways, thanks for tuning in. Let's get out there and ride. Later.